Well, I got distracted today and forgot to be making videos while I was working, so kind of where I left things off was I gotten the alignment done. I can't get as much camber as I want. Engine's still overheating, and the immobilizer has been behaving. So I don't want to work on the overheating in the cooling system right now because I have my vacuum system that pulls a vacuum on it to refill it loaned out. So I've got a plan. I bought some clear hose, and even though that stuff isn't rated for temperatures, for temporary use, it should be fine. I'm going to put the clear hoses down there on the thermostat so that I can see if I'm getting flow when the thermostat's closed through the circulation loop. That's not happening today. I've made myself a list of things to work on over there, and kind of at the top of that list is plumbing up the high pressure side of the HVAC, or the Freon side of it. So I got started today on mounting the condenser. Obviously it goes in front of the radiator. The one I bought is not as wide as my radiator, so I've got it offset to this side so that these tubes will exit just to the side of the radiator, and I think I got another 90 I can put there so that they both turn back. I've got it mounted at the top with a piece of 1-inch aluminum angle. It bolts to the frame, and then you put the condenser up there and bolt it, and I'm working on some bottom mounts. It's pretty good like that, but it'll sit there and make noise, and I don't want rattles and noise. So I'm going to make a mount that goes from right here down to the frame, and then on the other side down to the frame. And so that's what I was working on at the moment. We're going to see if I can make it out of this aluminum U-channel. I had just cut that at a diagonal so that I could fold it over to make an L bracket. So I'm going to bend that over and finish mocking it up, and then we'll see what it looks like. So looks pretty good right there. It's extremely rigid, which is what I was hoping for with the U-channel and folding on itself like that. So pull it out of here, draw a hole in it there, cut it there, and it'll mount to the frame there, and condenser there, and then do the other side. Now I think I've got the condenser mounted where I like it. This side is super rigid. This side has a tiny bit of bounce to it, but I don't know if that's, if that would actually do anything. I don't know what kind of motion it would take to do that. You can always put a piece of foam right there, and that should keep it from knocking. I don't think it'll actually move. I'm putting a significant amount of force right there to make that happen. So these brackets will come off and get powder coated, but not at the moment. At the moment, I'm going to move on to the dryer. Yeah, it's too dark. Come here. The dryer. So, gotta figure out how to mount and where I'm going to mount this thing now. Working on the dryer. I think I want to mount it on this frame brace right here, perfectly in line with where it comes out of the core there. So just kind of hang it right like that. So what I tried to do was make a bracket that would bolt there, come out and make about a 45, and hold it right there. And I've got rub one of that bracket in my hand right here. It broke when I tried to bend it. So that ain't gonna work. I'm wondering what the temperature is gonna be right here. It is gonna be real close to the radiator. But I'm thinking I could probably 3D print something. I mean, it's not too far from right there, and that's 3D printed. And I'm pretty sure that's gonna be okay. So I think that's what I'm gonna try and do is 3D print a bracket that'll go right there. And hold that dryer. So maybe it's time to go put something in CAD. I'm probably just going to zip tie it right there for now so that I can measure all my hoses. That way I can get my hoses ordered this week, and maybe next weekend I can make all my hoses. So I finally got on the phone again with Restomod Air, talked to them some more about what was going on, and we figured out the solution to my problem. Turns out I had, well, it doesn't turn out that. I had ordered the unit from Jags, who had it drop shipped from Restomod Air. Ordered it through Jags because I had a bunch of gift cards there. It turns out that when Jags ordered it, they put in a really odd product code that resulted in me getting a unique one-off configuration that I didn't need. So in addition to needing a new wiring harness from Restomod Air, I actually needed a new blower. There's a blower that I took off. It's kind of, I guess, an analog, or I would say more of a digital control. It's just got 4 wires and a 4-plug, and it goes to a ballast resistor controller to choose speeds. The unit I ordered had a VFD on it, and so they sent me a new one that I had to screw on there, and it's got a lot more wires coming off the back. I couldn't get up in there to do any video. It's tight up in there. I've already filled the heater core up with water, so I didn't want to pull it loose, but I had to do a little trimming on this this little bracket right here. Used to sit up against the old blower to pin it in place, and the new one not only doesn't need that, it gets in the way, so I had to trim that off. It's just sheet metal screws into some plastic to hold it on there. It's not super complicated. So I've got that swapped out. I've got the new wiring harness here, and let's see if I can't get it all wired up, and basically I have everything except for the compressor working. I've ordered all of my fittings and hoses, but they're not here yet. Condensers mounted, evaporators tie strapped in until I 3D print a bracket for it. Had to go to the junkyard this morning and get hoses that would fit the AC compressor. I tried ordering some off of eBay that were sanding adapters, but this compressor won't take sanding fittings, so these are the Subaru fittings. So I've got these hoses. What I'll have to do is cut them real short and put an adapter, just a male nipple on them, so that I can connect the female connectors to them. So it's a big hose there. I only need that little piece of it, but I don't know why, but on the Subaru, it's a service port for the high side was all the way up against the firewall, and the low side was right there at the compressor. So thankfully, some of the fittings I ordered already have service ports in them, so I don't need that in down there. I'll just cut this real short, put a male on it, and then screw my female ends onto it. So as soon as all those fittings show up, hopefully today, tomorrow, Saturday maybe. They were somewhere in Texas already when I checked the tracking number last night. So made it from Memphis to Texas already. So but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've bounced around a lot. I've been saying for a month I was going to get the dash in, and the dash isn't in yet. I sidetracked on suspension and rewiring the ECU, and now doing all the AC stuff, and I went back and revisited the digital dash. I've not been wanting to put the dash in until I had everything done, so that I didn't have to pull it back in and out, in and out, in and out. And so while I've been trying to work through this wiring with Restomod, I've been taking on other side projects. So, but that's all there. I'm gonna get that wired up, and then if I don't have all the hoses, so that I can start working on plumbing up the vacuum side, then I'll start working on the dash. If I do get all the hoses and ends, then we'll start on that. We'll just see where it goes. probably took longer than it should have, but who knows. I got get these wires out of the way. Finally got it all hooked up. It hooked up pretty much like the rest of Mod Air instructions said it did. They called for 3 separate 20 amp circuits, and I am not too sure why, because really the blower is the only thing that should pull any significant amps at all. This little ECU can't pull much. All it does is operates the louvers, which only draw when they're moving, and sends a circuit to the binary switch, which sends a signal to the compressor, and that can't draw more than 4 amps. So I really don't see why it needs 60 amps. 24 is what I calculated it needs, maybe 28 if you're running the compressor and the blower at full speed and moving the louvers. So I've got it on a 30 amp circuit because that's what my Coach 1 provides. I called the guys at Coach because I had to ask them a question anyway about how the trigger worked, and they said that yeah, they agreed. They thought 30 amps was plenty enough. So we're gonna hook it up with 30 amps and see what happens. Right now it's working, but of course I'm not running the compressor right now. So I got the accessory switch on, and so I believe the green cable here, well, there's 2 inside the green cable. One of them controls the vents, and one of them controls the valve, and I think this one controls the valve. So you should be able to see the louvers moving in there when you turn this. Yeah, you can see them moving down inside there. So that's on full floor. Straight up should give you defrost, and then the other way is full dash. This one moves the water valve, which you can't see moving, and then this one triggers the VFD on the fan. So it takes about 3 clicks to really get it moving. It's really quiet, at least compared to the one in my Mustang. You can feel the air coming out, and then all the way up. And all the way back down. And I got power to the thermostat, but I can't really test the thermostat through to the binary switch until I get it all plumbed up. The other thing I got wired up, you can see the binary switch here. The white comes from the relay here, which is pulled in by the thermostat. The blue goes off to the engine compartment, to the clutch, and then the yellow and orange is running back to the ECU. Turns out the Subaru ECU wants a 12-volt signal when the compressor's on, and that will turn on the fan on the radiator to make sure that even if the engine's cold, that the AC condenser is getting air pulled through it. So tested all that and it worked. So at this point, before I can test the rest of the system, I have to get all the plumbing done. So the plumbing's not here yet. Mail hadn't run yet today. I don't know if they're in the mail, but I think what I'm going to do this afternoon, before I even entertain mounting the dash, is take the time to straighten up the garage and get all my tools where they need to go. And that way I'm not constantly looking for things while I'm working. So hopefully I get all the connections and I can start on plumbing it up and get the AC actually working and blowing cold, and then I'll be done, I think, with all the wiring except for the radio and the tail lights. It'll feel good to be done with wiring. So, oh, I know that's not true. I gotta fix the cruise control switch. I've got it as ground triggered, and it needs to be 12-volt plus triggered. So, making progress on the list, though, getting done with wiring. So today is going to be all about trying to get the AC plumbed up. I know I won't get 100%. I think I'm going to be missing 1 or 2 fittings, but I should be able to get really close and then get those last fittings in order. I got a 3D bracket printed to hold the dryer. I was actually really happy that I only had to print one. That's probably the first time I've designed something from scratch that I 3D printed, and I didn't have to do a Rev 2 for any reason. So real happy with that. So yeah, all my hoses and ends are here. It's time to get started mocking everything up. About as far as I can go with hooking up all the AC hoses. It's certainly not as far as I'd hope to get, but it's not too bad. The number 6 line is complete, except for I don't have any O-rings in, and I'm using the Easy Clip system here. So I priced it out, and I could get the traditional crimp styles and buy a crimper for about the same price as paying more for the Easy Clip stuff. And I got a buddy who's got the crimper for clipping that. It's like a $30 tool instead of a $250 tool. So I'm using Easy Clip almost everywhere. The number 6 line is done. Comes out of the underdash unit into the dryer, which I actually had to move a little bit. I did have the bracket attached to the backside nipple, so the dryer was moved this way, but these fittings were too long. I couldn't fit it in there, so moved it back an inch. Comes out of the 90, goes around and comes into the condenser here. The number 8 line is connected on this side, right there, coming out, runs down through here. It's getting really tight in there. I don't know if I can get much more other than a few small wires in there. Under the heat and cool pipes, comes up into here, right here. And what I've got here is I had to go back to the pick and pull yesterday and get these actual connectors. I ordered some adapters online for sanding compressors. They didn't fit. Sanding compressor fittings are smaller than these. So that comes out. This is the factory hose. And this is where I knew I was going to have to buy some fittings. So I'm going to have to buy a crimp-on style fitting, because you can't put an Easy Clip fitting on a crimp style hose. It's a different hose as well. So I got to get just a male nipple. I will cut this factory hose here, have the male nipple crimped on, and then my number 8 will come out right here, and I have to order a female Easy Clip that goes right there. I have one, but it's got a service port built into it, and the factory fitting has a service port, so I'm going to send it back. It's like $40 to get the one with the service port. It's only $15 to get the one without it. So I'm gonna send back the one that's got the service port and get a regular female Easy Clip to go on the hose, and then a crimp-on male to go right here, and that'll mate. Now the number 10 line does, well, it has a service port, but it's not here at the compressor. It's all the way over at the firewall side. So I'm going to be getting rid of that. I do have a number 10 Easy Clip to go into the number 10 line here. I've just got to get the male crimp on right here. I'm gonna cut this factory hose, put the male crimp on there, and then connect my female easy clip with the service port on it, and that runs back up under there, the same place the number 8 line runs, but then it comes over and runs right beside the number 6 line and comes around to here. And I don't have this fitting, and I thought I ordered it, so I got to look and see if it was back ordered or if I forgot to order it, because it wasn't on my packing list. So I'm fixing to go check my order, see if I actually ordered this fitting. If I did, I'll find out what the delay is. If not, I'll buy it at the same time I buy the other ones I need and send back that one I don't need. So next steps, I'm gonna go inside and get that stuff ordered. That way I can get it shipped as soon as possible. Then I'm gonna come out here and pull off all this bracketry I made for the condenser so that I can clean it up and put it in the powder coater. And then while it's baking, I'm going to go through and be using clips. I've got some bigger ones to be securing everything so that it doesn't rub and rattle. I'm working on trying to secure everything that comes down the side along with the cooling pipes. I originally thought I was going to secure everything with these hose clamps, tube clamps, but I was going to have a whole bunch of them because like the number 10 line there barely fit inside of one, and I was going to wind up having to stagger them, and it was going to add a whole lot of bulk. So what I decided to do is take these zip tie clamps and actually bolt them on. I'm obviously not going to trust the adhesive, so what I did was I took a little punch and knocked out that hole in the adhesive pad, and then I stuck a number 832 through it. And then after you stick the 832 through it, you actually have to go ahead and thread the zip tie on, because the button head sticks up kind of about where the zip tie should go. So you're gonna have to like fish it through there while it's up here in the air, and you can get 2 hands on it and then leave a loop. And then I went back and I tapped the frame using these speed taps. Man, these are like the best things since sliced bread. It's a drill, tap, deburr all in one. These things are awesome. So tapped it and then screwed the I removed the adhesive pad so that I would have a little help from the adhesive, and then ran the screw down tight, and then you pull the zip tie, you pull the slack out of it, and so you get a zip tie down there. So I'm fixing to cinch it all up and then go do the other side.